Hey, what's up, guys? Today in this video, I'm going to be going over how to, or how I created a Python Rcon client so that I can communicate and manage my Minecraft server. Okay. I'm just going to demonstrate it here real quick. You can see I'm connected to this IP on this port. It says type help for options. So I can broadcast a message. I can exit this session, I can query the server for info, I can send a command to the server, or I can send a message to a specified user. So let's do query. I'm going to do full. And you see it's Enigmatic 2 Lite server, version, max players, the IP, and then it just exits back out to that. Okay? Now, I'm going to exit this, and I'm going to jump right into the code. I'm going to try and keep this video short as I've pre-compiled most of the stuff just so that I can show you what it is better. I'm going to do a couple imports here. I'm going to import time. I'm going to import sys. I'm going to import pprint. If you don't have this library installed, you're going to have to pip install it. From MC Tools, I import the Rcon client, and I also import the query client. And just because I'm here, if you do a search for MC Tools Python 3, you want to look for the master PDF, which is this file right here, and this will give you a this will give you a more detailed overview of what you got to do. So I'm just gonna get down real quick to the pip. So you just go pip install MC Tools, and if you're on Windows, you can actually install this with color support. Noted, color support is only relevant for Windows, so if you're on Linux, you could just pip install MC Tools and it should work. And you guys can go through this on your own leisure. It is very useful, but I'm going to use a lot of this stuff in here, and you won't need to read it. Me personally, I like to set up my login as early as possible, so just ignore this debug for now. Define a log file. I define the log event function immediately after that, and it's basically I just open the log file in append mode and I just write whatever event. Also, I don't like to hard code values into my script, so because I'm using passwords and IPs and all that, I use a function to read that info in. So I define the key file, which is this file, and then I immediately define the get admin info, and basically it looks for this info in this order. So it looks for the IP, it looks for the password, and it looks for the port. And then I basically just log the event, I open it and read, trying to append the info to the admin info list that I made up here, and then I return that info. And if the file is not, I catch a file not found error. If it is not found, then it will give you an error. I know I could work in some other stuff, but for now this works. I have some variables down here that I declare from that. So whatever that returns, I use here. And I set those values to this. I define my Rcon client with the values I associated up here. So I just give it the IP and port in this instance. Same thing with the query client. Query client, I just give it the IP. I declare my pprint function. Let me close this. And then down here I have a couple more functions. This is just the send command is to demonstrate breaking out the commands from the actual function in the case that you want to do stuff before or after if the commands run locally, whatever. I have a client loop, which is where we actually do work. a looper, which jumps back into this client loop, and I'll show you that in a minute. And we have a login function. So here's the login function. And let's open this up. And all I'm trying to do is I'm using the RC client we created, and I'm going to log in using the password we created up here. And if that's successful, jumps into the client loop. And if not, times out. I'm just waiting for a timeout error here, because you can see from the Rcon client, there's a timeout at 60 seconds. So if the server's not up, it'll time out and it won't let me go. So let's jump into client loop. This is the main loop talking to the server. Ignore from here down. I'm going to briefly cover it, but it's just a keep alive function I made to keep the server alive. Sometimes it freezes and I need to send input, and this works. So I'll just run this if I'm having an issue. Let's just go down through here. This is what you see when you first start the script. Here's the function for command. Basically, I'm just taking input and I'm sending this command to the server, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then I'm p-printing the results. The reason I'm p-printing the results is because some of the stuff that comes back needs to be formatted. But I'll show you the send command. This was my example for breaking out, because basically you're just using our Rcon client to send the command to the server, and then I just return the response. So I didn't feel like retyping that all over the place, and at the same time I wanted to demonstrate how you could actually break out anything, because I could do that to anything in here. I broadcast, which basically is, again, it's input. All of these are usually input, and then it'll send a message and it'll print the response. Same thing here. I specify user, specify the message to send, and then I try and send that to that user, and it prints the response. Query here, I only check to see if you're typing full or capital full. If not, I just return basic stats, because that's what I'm assuming you want. If it's not full or full, then that's it. Help actually prints out the option. It's just a list of all the particular options, and I basically just print out all the items. Exit, self-explanatory. I kill the Rcon client, I kill the query client, and then I exit. If there are no exceptions in anywhere up here, I catch a general one here, it just jumps right back into the looper, and looper just sleeps for a couple seconds, and then it jumps back in at the top and waits for you to do something. I mean, honestly, the script is pretty simple. I just like to break it out because I might want to do stuff in between, and I just like more control. Some of the things that you could do on this, which I'm trying to work on, is I might want to read the log file. So the actual log file on the server, if there's particular errors, I might want to be able to print that out. Also checking chat. So if they're just checking chat, or actually, because sometimes when I send a message to somebody, I don't immediately see it, because they got to type in their response, so it doesn't know to print any response. So right now I just have the ability to send them a message, and that's it. So I'd like a way to figure out how to get that response, but I know that I'm gonna have to have access to the file system somehow, and I know this is a remote console. And I'd also like to be able to figure out a way to do config changes. So if someone messages me, I can just fire this up and say X monsters spawning too much, and I don't need as many. I can actually log in, pull down the config, change it, and then reapply it, and then just run the command to reload it. Because then, because a lot of mods you're able to do that, but I haven't figured that out yet. Well, I hope that you guys like this script, and I'm gonna have all this code up on my GitHub. I'll have links below. If you like it, subscribe, man. Have a good day, guys.